Immo. It by Eihei Dogen. From Shobogenzo, the treasury of the true Dharma I. Great Master Kokaku of Ungozan Mountain is the rightful heir of Tozan, is the 39th generation Dharma descendant of Shakyamuni Buddha, and is the authentic Patriarch of Tozan's lineage. One day he preaches to the assembly, "If you want to attain the matter which is it, you must be a person who is it. Already being a person who is it, why worry about the matter which is it?" In other words, those who want to attain the matter which is it must themselves be people who are it. They are already people who are it. Why should they worry about attaining the matter which is it? The point of this is that directing oneself straight for the supreme truth of Bodhi is described for the present as it. The situation of this supreme truth of Bodhi is such that even the whole universe in 10 directions is just a small part of the supreme truth of Bodhi. It may be the truth of Bodhi abounds beyond the universe. We ourselves are tools which it possesses within this universe in 10 directions. How do we know that it exists? We know it so because the body and the mind both appear in the universe, yet neither is ourself. The body already is not I. Its life moves on through days and months, and we cannot stop it even for an instant. Where have the red faces of our youth gone? When we look for them, they have vanished without a trace. When we reflect carefully, there are many things in the past that we will never meet again. The sincere mind, too, does not stop, but comes and goes moment by moment. Although the state of sincerity does exist, it is not something that lingers in the vicinity of the personal self. Even so, there is something which, in the limitless, establishes the Bodhi mind. Once this mind is established, abandoning our former playthings, we hope to hear what we have not heard before, and we seek to experience what we have not experienced before. This is not solely of our own doing. Remember, it happens like this because we are people who are it. How do we know that we are people who are it? We know that we are people who are it just from the fact that we want to attain the matter, which is it. Already we possess the real features of a person who is it. We should not worry about the already present matter, which is it. Even worry itself is just the matter which is it, and so it is beyond worry. Again, we should not be surprised that the matter which is it is present in such a state. Even if it is the object of surprise and wonderment, it is still just it. And there is it about which we should not be surprised. This state cannot be fathomed even by the consideration of Buddha. It cannot be fathomed by the consideration of the mind. It cannot be fathomed by the consideration of the Dharma world. And it cannot be fathomed by the consideration of the whole universe. It can only be described. Already you are a person who is it. Why worry about attaining the matter which is it? Thus, the suchness of sound and form may be it. The suchness of body and mind may be it. And the suchness of the Buddhas may be it. For example, the time of falling down on the ground, we understand as it is, as it, and at the very moment when we get up, inevitably relying on the ground, we do not wonder that the falling down was on the ground. There are words that have been spoken since ancient times, have been spoken from the western heavens, and have been spoken from the heavens above. They are, if we fall down on the ground, we get up again on the ground. If we seek to get up apart from the ground, that is, in the end, impossible. In other words, those who fall down on the ground inevitably get up on the ground. And if they want to get up without relying on the ground, they can never do so at all. Taking up what is described thus, we have seen it as the beginning of attainment of great realization, and we have made it into the state of truth that sheds body and mind. Therefore, if someone asks, what is the principle of the Buddha's realization of the truth? We say, it is like someone who falls to the ground, getting up on the ground. Mastering this principle, We should penetrate and clarify the past. We should penetrate and clarify the future. And we should penetrate and clarify the very moment of the present. Great realization and non-realization, returning to delusion and losing the state of delusion, being restricted by realization itself and being restricted by delusion itself. Each of these is the truth that someone who falls to the ground gets up relying on the ground. It is an expression of the truth in the heavens above and everywhere under the heavens, is an expression of the truth in the western heavens and the eastern lands, is an expression of the truth in the past, present, and future, and is an expression of truth of old Buddhas and new Buddhas. This expression of the truth is never imperfect in expression, and it does not lack anything in expression. Even so, it seems to me that only to understand the words like that, without also understanding them in a way which is not like that, is to fail to master these words. Although the expression of the truth of an eternal Buddha has been transmitted like that, still, when eternal Buddha listens as eternal Buddha to the words of the eternal Buddha, there should be an ascendant state of listening. Though never spoken in the western heavens, and never spoken in the heavens above, there is another truth to be expressed. It is that if those who fall down on the ground seek to get up by relying on the ground, even if they spend countless kalpas, they will never be able to get up. They can get up by means of just one vigorous path. That is, those who fall down through reliance on the ground inevitably get up relying on the void. And those who fall down through reliance on the void inevitably get up by relying on the ground. Unless it is like this, getting up will, in the end, be impossible. The Buddhas and the Patriarchs were all like this. Suppose a person asks a question like this: how far apart are the void and the ground? If someone asks a question like this, we should answer that person like this: the void and the ground are 108,000 miles apart. When we fall down through reliance on the ground, we inevitably get up relying on the void. And if we seek to get up apart from the void, it will be impossible at last. When we fall down through reliance on the void, we inevitably get up by relying on the ground. And if we seek to get up apart from the ground, it will be impossible at last. Someone who has never spoken such words has never known and has never seen the dimensions of the ground and the void in Buddhism. The 17th ancestral patriarch, the Venerable Sangha, whose Dharma successor in due course is Gayashata, on one occasion hears bells hung in a hall, ringing when blown by the wind. And he asks Gayashata, "Is it the sound of the wind? Is it the sound of the bells?" Gayashata says, "It is beyond the ringing of the wind, and beyond the ringing of the bells. It is the ringing of my mind." Venerable Sangha says, "Then what is the mind?" Gayashata says, "The reason it is ringing is that all is still." Venerable Sangha says, "Excellent, excellent. Who else but you, disciple, could succeed to my truth?" Eventually, he transmits to Gayashata the right Dharma Eye treasury. Here, in the state beyond the ringing of the wind, we learn my mind ringing. In the time beyond the ringing of the bells, we learn my mind ringing. My mind ringing is it. At the same time, all is still. Transmitted from the western heavens to the eastern lands, from ancient times to the present day. This story has been seen as a standard for learning the truth. But many people have misunderstood it as follows. Gayashata's words, "It is neither the ringing of the wind nor the ringing of the bells. It is the ringing of the mind," mean that there is in the listener, at just the moment of the present, the occurrence of mindfulness. And this occurrence of mindfulness is called the mind. If this mindfulness did not exist, how could the sound of ringing be recognized as a circumstance? Hearing is realized through this mindfulness, which may be called the root of hearing. And so he says, the mind is ringing. This is wrong understanding. It is like this because it is devoid of the influence of a true teacher. For example, it is like interpretations by commentary teachers on subjectivism and proximity. Interpretation like this is not profound learning of the Buddha's truth. Among those who have learned under rightful successors to the Buddha's truth, on the other hand, the supreme state of Bodhi and the right Dharma-eye treasury are called stillness, are called being free of doing, are called samadhi, and are called dharani. The principle is that if only one Dharma is still, the 10,000 Dharmas are all still. The blowing of the wind being still, the ringing of the bells is still, and for this reason, he says, all is still. He is saying that the mind ringing is beyond the ringing of the wind. The mind ringing is beyond the ringing of the bells. And the mind ringing is beyond the ringing of the mind. Having pursued to the ultimate, the close and direct state like this, we may then go on to say that it is the wind ringing, it is the bells ringing, it is the blowing ringing, and it is the ringing ringing. The state like this exists not on the basis of why should we worry about the matter which is it. It is like this because how can the matter which is it be related to anything? The 33rd Patriarch, Zen Master Daikan, before having his head shaved, is lodging at Hoshoji Temple in Koshu. 2 monks there are having a discussion. One monk says, "The flag is moving." The other monk says, "The wind is moving." As the discussion goes endlessly back and forth like this, the 6th Patriarch says, "It is beyond the wind moving and beyond the flag moving. You are the mind moving." Hearing this, the 2 monks are instantly convinced. These 2 monks had come from India. With these words, then, the 6th Patriarch is saying that the wind and the flag and the moving all exist as the mind. Even today, although people hear the 6th Patriarch's words, they do not know the 6th Patriarch's words. How much less could they express the 6th Patriarch's expression of the truth? Why do I say so? Because hearing the words, "You are the mind moving," to say that you are the mind moving just means your minds are moving, is not to see the sixth patriarch, is not to know the sixth patriarch, and is not to be the Dharma descendants of the sixth patriarch. Now, as the children and grandchildren of the sixth patriarch, speaking the truth of the sixth patriarch, speaking with the physical body, hair, and skin of the sixth patriarch, we should say as follows: the words, "You are the mind moving," are fine as they are, but we could also express it as, "You are moving." Why do we say so? Because what is moving, and because you are you. We say so because you already are people who are it. In his former days, the sixth patriarch is a woodman in Shinshu. He knows the mountains well and knows the waters well. Through his effort under the green pines, he has eradicated roots. But how could he know of the eternal teachings that illuminate the mind? When one is at one's ease by a bright window, under whom could he learn cleansing and sweeping? In the marketplace, he hears a sutra. This is not something that he himself has expected, nor is it at the encouragement of anyone else. Having lost his father as a child, he has grown up looking after his mother, never knowing that in his woodman's coat lies hidden a pearl that will light up the cosmos. Suddenly illuminated by the Diamond Sutra, he leaves his old mother and goes in search of a counselor. It is an example of behavior that is rare among men. Who can make light of kindness and love? But attaching weight to the Dharma, he makes light of his debt of gratitude, and so is able to abandon it. This is just the truth of those who have wisdom. If they hear the Dharma, are able to believe and understand at once. This wisdom is neither learned from other people nor established by oneself. Wisdom is able to transmit wisdom, and wisdom directly searches out wisdom. In the case of the 500 bats, wisdom naturally consume their bodies. They have no body and no mind of their own at all. In the case of the 10,000 swimming fishes, due neither to circumstances nor to causes, but because wisdom is intimately present in their bodies. When they hear the Dharma, they understand at once. It is beyond coming and beyond entering. It is like the spring of spring meeting springtime, for example. Wisdom is beyond intention, and wisdom is beyond no intention. Wisdom is beyond consciousness, and wisdom is beyond unconsciousness. How much less could it be related to the great and the small? How much less could it be discussed in terms of delusion and realization? The point is that although the sixth Patriarch does not even know what the Buddha Dharma is, never having heard it before, and so neither longing for it nor aspiring to it, when he hears the Dharma, he makes light of his debt of gratitude and forgets his own body. And such things happen because the body and mind of those who have wisdom is already not their own. This is the state called able to believe and understand at once. No one knows how many rounds of life and death people spend, even while possessing this wisdom, in futile, dusty toil. They are like a stone enveloping a jewel, the jewel not knowing that it is enveloped by a stone, and the stone not knowing that it is enveloping a jewel. When a human being recognizes this jewel, a human being seizes it. This is neither something that the jewel is expecting, nor something that the stone is awaiting. It does not require knowledge from the stone, and it is beyond thinking by the jewel. In other words, a human being and wisdom do not know each other, but it seems that the truth is unfailingly discerned by wisdom. There are the words, "Those who are without wisdom doubt, thus losing it forever." Wisdom is not necessarily related to having, and wisdom is not necessarily related to being without. At the same time, there is existence in the spring pines at one moment, and there is the real state of being without as the autumn chrysanthemums. At the moment of this wisdom as being without, the whole truth of Sambodhi becomes doubt, and all dharmas are doubt. And at this moment, to lose forever is just to act. Words that should be heard, and dharma that should be experienced, are totally doubt. The entire world, which is not me, has no hidden place, It is a single iron track, which is not anyone, for 10,000 miles. While in this way twigs bud, in the Buddha lands of the 10 directions, there only exists the one vehicle Dharma. And while in this way leaves fall, the Dharma abides in its place in the Dharma, and the form of the world is constantly abiding. Because this already exists as the matter which is it, it exists in having wisdom, and in being without wisdom, and it exists as the face of the sun and as the face of the moon. Because he is a person who is it, the 6th Patriarch is illuminated. Consequently, he goes directly to Obaizan Mountain and prostrates himself to Zen Master Daiman, who lodges him in the servants' hall. He pounds rice through the night for 8 short months. Then once, late into the night, Daiman himself secretly enters the pounding room and asks the 6th Patriarch, "Is the rice white yet or not?" The 6th Patriarch says, "It is white, but not yet sifted." Daiman pounds the mortar 3 times, and the 6th Patriarch sifts the rice in the winnowing basket 3 times. This is said to be the time when the state of truth becomes consonant between master and disciple. They do not know it themselves, and it is beyond the understanding of others. But the transmission of the Dharma and the transmission of the robe are just at that exact moment. Great Master Musai of Nangaku-Zan Mountain, on one occasion, is asked by Yakusan, "The 3 vehicles and the 12 divisions of the teaching I roughly know, but I have heard that in the South there is direct pointing at the human mind, realizing the nature and becoming Buddha. Frankly, I have not clarified this yet. I beg you, Master, out of compassion, to teach me." This is Yakusan's question. Yakusan in the past had been a lecturer. He had thoroughly understood the meaning of the 3 vehicles and the 12 divisions of the teaching. So it seems there was no Buddha Dharma at all that was unclear to him. In those days, different sects were never established. Just to clarify the 3 vehicles and the 12 divisions of the teaching was accepted as the customary way of learning the teaching. that many people today, out of stupidity, individually establish principles and suppose the Buddha Dharma is not the legitimate standard in Buddhism. The Great Master says, to be like that is impossible. Not to be like that is impossible. To be like that or not to be like that is altogether impossible. What do you make of it? These are the words spoken by the Great Master for Yakusan. Truly, because to be like that or not to be like that is altogether impossible. To be like that is impossible, and not to be like that is impossible. Like that describes it. It is not a matter of the limited usefulness of words, and not a matter of the unlimited usefulness of words. We should learn it in the state of impossibility, and we should inquire into impossibility in the state of it. It is not that this concrete it and the impossible are relevant only to the consideration of Buddhas. To understand it is impossible. To realize it is impossible. Zen Master Daikan of Sokeizan Mountain on one occasion teaches Zen Master Dai-e of Nangaku. This is something coming like this. These words say that being like this is beyond doubt, for it is beyond understanding. Because this is something, we should realize in experience that all the myriad things are truly something. We should realize in experience that every single thing is truly something. Something is not open to doubt. It comes like this. Preached to the assembly at Kanondori Kosho Horinji Temple on the 26th day of the 3rd lunar month in the 3rd year of Ninji.